Can you see my screen? Just to confirm.
Yes, we can able to see.
We can see.
Okay, great. So I thought of putting a what will be the training will look like. I was thinking that, and then I thought instead of putting as a cloud training, I'll put this as an infrastructure as code with a hands-on approach. I thought let's give that as a name to this training, so that we just don't understand the cloud, but also we'll take towards the automation of it. So though we are starting from basic today, I know a lot of all of us are not well versed with cloud, or we are not very experienced with cloud. That's fine. We'll start from very basic till we reach how we can actually create infrastructure as code. That means also developers can create the infrastructure using coding. So there where our aim will be. So that's why let's put that the aim where we want to reach, rather than just putting a cloud training or something. So that's why I thought to put this name, learn infrastructure as code, a hands-on approach with you. And obviously we'll when we are doing code, we want to do that for multiple clouds, obviously, right? That's why I thought again, multi-cloud automation using Terraform. Is that sound good? This is what your expectation is, all of us? I feel so. If you ask me, I think this is what I would expect if I want to learn cloud. So that's why I thought maybe it makes sense to have this. Okay. So with that assumptions, I'll just go forward. So I don't have much today to cover, but we'll give some basics and where we want to go. I have around 13 slides. Though it is 13 slides, I'll not stick to the slides only. It will be a completely hands-on, and I'll expect you all to have your laptop. In fact, personal laptop is always good. I know you all have emails, or you have Etna laptop or CBS laptop, but because this will be a kind of training, you want to have your own cloud environment. So if a lot of things you have to install, so if you can use your personal laptop, that will be good actually. Okay.
Punch, I'm sorry, Venkata, can you admit or unlock the meeting? Rajiv is trying to join.
Okay.
What is it, Judy? You're saying something? Oh, they're waiting now.
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
Punch. You can continue.
Okay. Thank you. So, as I said, this is not going to be just a training on the slides, but it will be complete hands-on, and I'll expect you to do the hands-on stuff as I speak, because I'm going to show you live how to do it, and every step I'll help you. I'm here to help. So it will be a very interactive session. I'll be asking questions, and you will be asking questions, but a lot of questions I'll try to avoid up to like answering offline, because we want to achieve our goal. If we interact a lot, I know we cannot achieve that. I'll allow interaction. Definitely, I want it to be interactive, but we'll at the same time we'll see that how we can balance it. Okay, so that we reach our goal in 1 hour. And this is going to be a regular session every Thursday, 9:30, 1 hour. And I don't anticipate very soon this will end. It may go 6 months or a year or so, because a lot of things you have to cover. But I want to, because we are starting from very basic also, right? So with that, I'll move forward. And just for my knowledge, if I may know, how many of you know cloud? Just Can we do some like hands off here or something? Can I see those? So this is what is today's agenda. First of all, introduction to the team, introduction to cloud, and some basics cloud concepts. Then what are the requirements to be successful in this training? And we'll have a GCP free account creation. And we'll start off with GCP account, and then we'll go into multi-cloud environment like Azure and AWS. But as a obviously CVS enterprise team, their approach is to go towards Azure and GCP, not much to AWS. So we'll go to AWS at the end, but we'll be more focused on GCP and Azure. Okay, because obviously we're here for a purpose so that we can do our job properly, not just learning. So that is my intention too. So to enable you to do your job efficiently and properly. Okay. So let's go ahead. This is my introduction a little bit so that you all, I know my team knows me very well. This is what myself, like I work for AHM as a cloud architect. I have around 24 plus years experience in IT. I worked for Sun Microsystems, VMware, EMC, HCL, Centel, Pivotal, and now I work a full-time employee of emails. And 24 in IT, 12 plus, 12, 13 plus with cloud, and I have worked in my career on AWS, GCP, Azure, OCI, Kubernetes, being ex-VMware, obviously I know VMware. Okay, all other things, it doesn't matter, but just for the sake of writing, I wrote it. I know DevOps very well. I wrote a product myself, which can do complete DevOps automation. That was in my previous company. And well, I am a Stanford GSP certified for corporate innovation. Okay, great. Let's start little basics about cloud. So if you understand what is cloud, you don't need it, but who does not understand cloud? What are the main essential characteristics of the cloud? If one thing, first thing comes to our mind is on demand. Everything we get on demand. So it is on demand self-service, broad network access, obviously with any device, we should able to get it. You don't need any special arrangement for any device to be able to get access to cloud. That's what it means actually. Then resource pooling, that means it's a pool of resources, various resources, software resources, hardware resources, network resources, storage resources, a lot of resources. So it's a pool of resource. And rapid elasticity. So what is rapid elasticity? That means it can expand or it can contract, right? So that when we need higher capacity, it should grow. And when we don't need it, we can actually lose them so that it can come back to whatever we need at this point. So it can grow and it can shrink. And obviously it should be measured. That means whatever you are using, it should be measured in terms of your usage, either for the so back or chargeback. So back is just measuring it and so that you know what you're doing. That is normally used in the private cloud. Chargeback is normally used in the public cloud. That's so that they can charge you whatever you're using. Okay. And obviously in the second one, I'll go faster here a little bit because all of us may know it, but this for those who are new to cloud. And why it is important, what difference it makes. Obviously, cloud is global and it's always available and obviously has unlimited capacity. That means it will be beyond our requirements sometimes. That means we can access any number of resources at any scale. So the second is important for this program, this training, that IT assets become programmable resources. That means any programmer, they can actually program code to create IT infrastructure. So that's very important, and it is very relevant to our course here. And higher level managed service, that means a user does not need to know any details about the infrastructure or something like that so that he can use it very easily without knowing the details. It's very high level of abstraction. And obviously security is built in nowadays. I remember 5 years back, people used to have a doubt that cloud is not secured. But today it is not like that. We all believe that cloud is secured and security is there. It is the way you architect it, but if you can have a well-architected framework, it can be highly secure too, okay? And these are the types of cloud we have today. Private cloud, public cloud, hybrid cloud, multi-cloud, and community cloud. So just to give one example of each, private cloud is normally where an enterprise have their own infrastructure created in their own data center. And in a technical way, if you tell that, if your data does not cross your firewall and inside your company firewall, then that is normally we consider that as a private cloud. You are limiting your data into your own environment. And public cloud, we all know, obviously, all is where you have your applications, your data, which you actually put into a public cloud, and you access those from your environment or your data center. Hybrid cloud, obviously, private and public. That means you have a private cloud where already some applications are running, and you have a public cloud now where you have some of your workload you want to host in the public cloud, and you want to closely work together so that your application takes the best out of each. So where you will have that, some of the very security sensitive applications you don't want to put in the cloud, public cloud, and you may want to put that into a private cloud. So in that scenario, some of your applications, which is security centric, or you don't want those data to be exposed to the public cloud, that you put it to normally all the databases like Oracle, they put always in the private cloud. And some of the applications, they take that into public cloud. In that scenario, you are operating in a hybrid environment. So there where you take the best out of the both clouds. And multi-cloud is something like we have a true multi-hybrid cloud in CVS Enterprise. That means they have hybrid cloud as well as multi-cloud. They are operating with AWS, Azure, and GCP, all the three. And also they have a VMware cloud in the Phoenix data center that is private cloud. So that means they're truly hybrid and multi-cloud. Community cloud is something where a set of users define their own cloud. Like tomorrow, anybody wants to create a special cloud for maybe healthcare. That means all the healthcare applications can be in that, and that application is shared with users who are all in need of those kind of services only. That means it can be called a healthcare cloud. Then another can have a maybe financial cloud. Another can have a HR cloud, something like that. And that's what is many are doing nowadays. Obviously, many specialized company, they have put their own cloud, which will serve a community of users. That is, we can visualize as a community cloud. With that basics, I'll go forward. These were all very basics. I think I have another basic slide just to cover. What are the different model of implementation? So this is a little important to understand, though we do understand what it is, but uh, it should be like how we implement the cloud. This is little implementation level. Let me do a full screen so that it may be clear. So if you see here on-premise, everything we do ourselves. We implement from, you see, these are the layers, right? The top to bottom, if you see here, networking, storage, servers, virtualization, OS, middleware, runtime, data, application, everything that now the data center team, let's take an example of our AHM applications. So they are in the Phoenix data center. So that means they are managing everything here. They manage the network, storage, servers, virtualization, OS, middleware, runtime. Now, if we want to take it to cloud, some other application, right? So we are taking like one of our web servers, our API servers, and some of the business servers we are taking to cloud. So if you see here from the OS level, actually, once we take to them and we are running the servers, that means we are only taking the network service, storage service, server service, and the virtualization layer. Till this layer only we are actually renting from the cloud provider. All others, like from the OS installation, like which OS we need, whether Windows, Linux, something. That means from this layer, we are managing. So that is what is called infra as a service, infrastructure as a service. That means we are dependent on the cloud environment for the virtualization layer. And that is called shared responsibility. So in the cloud, it has to be how much responsibility is being shared from the user and the service provider. So IS, if you see here, this is the user responsibility and the red ones are the service provider responsibility. PaaS is, if you see here, it's more of service provider responsibility till the runtime, like the RDS in AWS, right? So you are only responsible for the data and application, and all others are managed by the service provider. And in a SaaS, everything is being managed by the service provider. You are just a user, nothing else. A lot of examples. I don't need to go into those details. I believe we all know. So I'll move forward. I'm not able to move forward. Okay. So first thing first, let's go ahead. This will be now, we'll start hands-on. Do you have access to GCP console? I'll go and show you how to access it actually. I'll open browser. Can you open, please, all of you, if you can see my screen. Just go to Google Cloud. You can search even if you want. Search Google Cloud. You just so that it becomes easier. You can see here there is a called free trial, right? Or you can click the first one also. Okay. So here you can, let me go to the free trial directly so that it will allow you to create an account for free. And if you see here, you can run up to $300 worth of services for free. They will not charge you till $300. And a lot of free products are there. So you don't have to absolutely pay anything to the cloud environment. And it is up to 3 months. And after beyond that also there are some free products, but till $300 you can actually have up to 3 months of freeze. And 3 months is a good time to learn actually. You won't need in fact up to 3 months. And I'm sure you will not be able to finish this $300 also, because I could not finish. because you don't need to run it once. You just create a service and you destroy it, they will not charge unless you reach 1 hour. Okay, so you cannot finish $300 for 3 months. In 3 months, absolutely you cannot finish it. So don't worry about it. You are absolutely safe. But only thing is you have to give your credit card details. And I believe we can give our own credit card details, personal credit card, and create a free account there. And best way of learning is just doing yourself. And be responsible to destroy your environment once you create it, so that you don't actually run any unnecessary services which they'll charge. And I can assure that you will not even if reach 200, like $50 end of 3 months if you're using all the services also for your learning. So honestly, I could not reach 300. Okay. Once you go that and you create your account, I have already created for me. That details I will not go. You all are smart enough to create an account and go to, if you go here, always it will be cloud.google.com. Okay. So when you next go, always you just type simple cloud.google.com. Then it will directly take you to login, and you can log in here and reach here, right? And after that, you see here a console, right? Just click there. Once you reach this page, while somebody is waiting, I don't know if anybody typing something. I already used my 300 credit long ago. Okay, good. But you can always create a new account and still you can use it. Google does not track you that it is the same user. So you can create a number of accounts and use them as you're learning. So they are not that strict. Okay. Once you go to once you achieve this screen with all your details and a credit card, then go to console. You will reach here. First time, you have to create an here project to use it. I have already created this project, but I can always just tell you how to create a new project. So already when you have it, you will have my first project created, my first project, right? That will be created by default. So today I'll not go very deep. I'll try to just give you an overview of how we can create an instance and how to access it. That's pretty much always we do, right? How to create a VM on the cloud and how to access it and how to use it. Pretty simple, right? So that's what I'm going to give a immediate feel of what is cloud. Then we'll go very step-by-step approach. But today I will just give you one quick approach so that you can have a quick learning, like quick start, we can call it. Quick start of using the cloud, okay? So let's create a VM if you have it already ready with your environment. First, what you do is create one project here and click new project, and you can give anything. Okay, EHM training, okay? And as a free user, you will not have an organization, you cannot create, I believe. So you just create it, right? So it is HM training. This project is getting created and I can always use it. Now, once it is created, you can shift into your HM training project. Now we are in this project. So you can have multiple projects too, right? So it will be important later, but not today, why a project is required and what is one service account and all those things I'll tell later. Once you come into security, we'll talk more details about it, but let's not worry about it today. So let's see just how to use it, okay? So once you create the project, let's go and click this navigation menu and go to Compute Engine. Okay, let me give you an overview of this console first. So you see here, you click this navigation menu, you have all the services defined here, whatever available on the cloud, GCP, all the services are visible here. And you can access it as you are the few user, you are actually, it's best way of learning. Why? Because there is absolutely no restriction. You cannot use anything in a free account till you reach $300. Okay. So you can test anything you want. Whereas in our HM or CVS, obviously you will have restrictions. You cannot learn everything. You are not, obviously you cannot do a lot of things. But here in your free account, you can do whatever you want. A lot of things. You can create your own networking. You can create your own services on databases, everything. We'll do that later. We'll create our own VPC network in the maybe next session. But today I'll use the default networking, which is already available for us. I'll not spend more time. I'll just give a quick start. So let's go to Compute Engine. Here, if you see, these are the services related to compute. So the cloud defines each service in different broad level. So if you see here, compute, then serverless, then storage, database, application integration, networking, operation, CI/CD pipeline, tools, different tools available, and the big data related services, artificial intelligence services, other Google products, so, and the different partner solutions, of course, they give. So let's focus on the compute engine today. So if you go to Compute Engine, click virtual machine and VM instances. Or there is another easy way to find is just type it. Okay. So here, if you go to the home, you can type always the compute. And then directly you can go there, Compute Engine. Right. So Compute Engine API. So in first time when you're using it and you created a new project, you have to, for that project, each services has to be enabled. So here, you know that all the services, cloud services are accessed through APIs. I'm sure you know what is an API. So here you have to enable the API for the compute engine. Without that, you will not be able to access it, or you will not be able to create it. So you have to enable that compute engine API first time. Similarly, if you have to learn Kubernetes also, you have to enable that API. So if I go to Kubernetes, you see here, Kubernetes engine API, it has to be enabled. So like that, you can enable anything you want, and it will be, then you can use it. Let's not wait for that. Let me switch to my own enabled API. That is enabled. PNAC home is already enabled. I have created some of the things so that I will not spend more time on discussing those. So I'll switch my project to PNAC home. And you see, once you enable it, it will be like this. The screen will be here. You can create the instance, right? Let's see if we have enabled that already. AHM training. If it is enabled, I should be able to see the same screen. Yes, so it is enabled. Now, in the same AHM training, now let's create one VM or instance. In cloud, or it is called cloud instance. In private cloud, normally it is called a VM. Here also you can call a VM, but it is actually a VM, but it's normally in the cloud terminology, it is called an instance. Create an instance, go to here. And you can give any name you want. So oh, first S, and all are lowercase, okay? Test, let it be first test one, maybe test one. That's the machine name. And there are different concepts of regions and zones on any cloud, whether it is GCP or AWS or Azure. There is a concept called regions and zones. Regions are nothing but data centers. They are physical data centers. That means where they host it. So here, if you just click the drop down here, you see here there are many regions, and these are the in America. Okay, Northeast, Northeast 2. And these are the nothing but the physical data centers they have in different regions. So you can visualize where your data will be residing. You should always choose which is closer to you. That means if we are in Eastern, then we should choose, there are East 1 and East 4. If you see here, this data center is South Carolina, and this is in North Virginia. So we are closer here, North Virginia. And for the Western, if you see here, West 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of data centers they have in Western, right? And it's the same thing with Europe, Asia Pacific, so on and so forth. And then each data center, they have another construct called zones. And what are the zones? So they are also data centers, but they are part of the bigger data center. And we can call it they implement it differently. Either there are two buildings, maybe sometimes it's a big data center, there are separate buildings where they are physically separated, but connected by a very fast network. Otherwise, for smaller clouds, some are smaller environments, they can be same building, different racks. In OCI, normally zones are different racks, okay? But here in GCP, this is a physical location, but these are all physical buildings. So here in Las Vegas, if you see by default, it's coming always Las Vegas is the region, it's the physical location, but in that they have 3 separate data centers connected with fast network. That means they have a very fast latency, without latency, negligible latency between them. That's why they're called zones. So you can always see that if you are hosting your application in 2 separate zones, they are actually connected with a very low latency network. Okay. So let's choose our own here, North Virginia. And in North Virginia, you see here how many data centers we have. 1, 2, 3. 3 physical data centers we have in this physical location. Okay. So let's choose anyone for A, US for A. So they have a number for each region, and region is US East 4, and they divide each zones with A, B, C, and all. So that means a zone is defined as US East 4, that is the region, and add an A, B, C. So it is A. So when you want to refer where your instance is, you can actually, if you refer, like my instance is at US East 4A, that means it's always, you understand that it is in the US East region and region 4, and the zone or data center is A. So that gives the total name, zone and region, if you tell US East 4A. Got it. Then let's understand the next configuration. So like there are different configurations that are available for each machine type. These are the general purpose, and these are compute optimized, these are memory optimized. I'll tell you what these are all. Before coming to general purpose, let me give these two difference so that you can understand what is general purpose. Compute optimized, where you create an instance where you have more compute power. That means then there's processor and memory ratio is high. That means the per CPU memory will be less here, but compute power will be high. And these are on memory optimized. That means the memory to CPU ratio will be high. Here the CPU to memory is high. This is memory to CPU is high. And these are all kind of combined together so that they are not like, they're kind of which suits both, where you don't need very extensive compute or you don't need very extensive memory. And memory optimize is used when you want to host a database. Normally, all the databases require a high memory capacity. That's why all the databases normally we should choose memory optimized instances. And all the web servers, if it is a highly utilized web server, they're always compute optimized. So, and any general, suppose you are a very, you don't have a very high usage of memory or compute, you have very minimal requirement, then you can always choose. And this is most of the time will be suffice for many applications, but if you have a specific need, you can always choose it. Let's go at the general purpose. And in general purpose also, there are various series of, if you see here, they divide into different sizes of and this different generation of CPUs. Based on the CPUs, they actually divide it. So you see here, they have also defined E2 is CPU platform selection based on availability. And these are all powered by the different Cascade Lake and Ice Lake CPU platforms, so on and so forth. You can read it. And this is, so there are, these are N2 is the latest CPU generation, and these are the N1 is the previous generation. Okay. Then once you put the E2, you are putting here the E2 CPU selection, and mind here and look a little bit, it is also giving an estimate here. We'll come to here later a little bit, but here we can have always the estimate based on your selection. Let's see the machine type here. And here E2 and E2 medium. And you see here 2 vCPU and 4 gig of memory, right? That means if you choose here, your machine will have 2 vCPUs and 4 gig RAM. And you can choose more bigger if you want here. This is the standard 2 vCPUs 8 gig RAM, 4 vCPUs 16 gig RAM, and so on and so forth. These are all high memory. If you see here 2 vCPU is 16 gig, and you can always high, these are the high CPU, like you see 2:2, the ratio, high CPU 2:2, 4:4, almost 1:1, right? 8 to 1, 8 to 8, 16 to 16, 30 to 32. So these are the general purpose. If you see here compute optimized, here if you see it is mostly all 8 to 32 and 60 vCPU2. So it's a high compute power, normally the ratio. And this is memory optimized. If you see here memory, it can go up to 3.7 TB and 160 vCPUs and 4.75 TB, one instance, and mind you. So these are the very high end databases. Like sometimes we choose for Oracle. If you want to really host, we can choose this type of memory, and some of other applications where the high memory utilization, we can have it. But these are very costly too, by the way. So let's stick to our general purpose. And I'll go with 2 CPU and 2 vCPU and 4 gig of memory. By the way, what is a vCPU? Just to give, CPU is a thread normally. Okay, in a server, they can have in any server, enterprise class server, which is a data center server, they have multiple CPUs. Normally, they have two CPUs, physical, I'm talking about physical CPU, and 2 CPU or 4 CPUs. In fact, sometimes nowadays they have 8 CPUs also. So in one server itself. And each physical CPU is again can be logically divided into cores, you know that. So how many cores each CPU has. So there are eight core nowadays, even if 30 core CPUs are available. So that depends again. We need to know that what is the CPU class they're using. If you see here, that's what I said. If you go to each, you have to go to the data of the particular CPU. That obviously some of the specialized applications, they need to see it, that what class of CPU they're using, then they'll go and find that in that class of how many each CPU has how many cores. And normally each core is again divided, if it's an Intel CPU, each core is again divided into two threads. Threads is nothing but a compute cycle which can run independently. One CPU cycle is one thread, we call it. That means when you're running your program through that CPU, who are all from system programming background, you can understand that when you're writing a code, that code has to run through a processor. So that means that thread can at a time execute one CPU cycle or one cycle of the code. So that means each core can run parallelly to two separate threads, not more than that. So if it goes beyond two threads, multi-threading applications, then they have to be a scheduler will be responsible for scheduling the CPU time. That's a different system side programming. I don't want to get into it, but so overall, each server is divided into physical CPUs. Each physical CPU is divided into cores. Each core is divided into threads. And here, when you are talking about vCPU, we are actually talking about the threads, not the core or not the CPUs. So that is what you have to keep in mind. So here, one vCPU is equivalent to one thread of compute. Okay, so that means if you are running your laptop, you have single CPU, and normally it is, if it's i5, you have actually 4-core CPU, and 4-core is actually 8 threads. So that means here, your laptop is equivalent to 8 vCPU, and if it is having 32 gig RAM, your laptop, or I have 32 gig. So that means I have a 6 CPU, 6 core processor in my laptop here, 6 core with 32. So here it is 12 equivalent to 12. It is 12 is not here. So it is can be visualized as a 12 vCPU with 32 gig RAM. So yes, that way you can visualize. So your laptop will be like, you can visualize if it's 16 gig, you can visualize maybe 8 vCPU and 16 gig RAM. That is the equivalent. Okay. It's a little important to understand so that you select the right instance for your applications. Okay, so with that knowledge, then you can have the monthly estimate also. If you see here, if we are running this machine or instance, we'll have our monthly expenditure we'll get a bill of $65 almost every month. So let's run the smaller one. I can go to E2 and run a smaller $28. Okay. And I'm not running a whole month. So 2 gig for 2 CPU, 4 gig RAM. Now, let's go down. I'll not explain this for the time being. As we go on, we'll see more and more. Now, firewall. So let's open it for the time being. I'll discuss more about it. This HTTP, if you're running a web applications there, a web server, obviously you want to HTTP port 80 has to be opened, and this is 443, port 443. If you want to open it, you can simply click these two, and by default it will add port 80 and port 443 will be open for you, so that you can access the web applications. Okay, and once you, I'll not go details. Another thing if you want to access your instance, let me put this way. So what? so less. Normally, it will not be visible. But to access your instance, you have to actually add your SSH key. I'll tell you that. So you just have to expand this networking, this security management, and go to security here. And you can add your SSH key here to access it. Or there is another way. You can have a project-wise SSH key so that everybody who has access to that key can log into that. And that's that. I'm talking about security more. So let's not worry about that for the time being. I am giving, suppose, to everybody. So I have already added my SSH key here, and how to do that? I'll go. That maybe initially you can do. Just type SSH keys, and if you click here, you have your SSH key being added here. Add your SSH key, and how to do that? I'll tell you. If you are using Linux, it is easier. Or if you are using Windows, you have to use one particular tool called Putty. So let me show. I'm sure all of you, most of you have Windows. So I have Windows VM running. Let me log into that so that I can show you how you can access using Windows and how can you create the SSH key first. So you, in a Windows environment, just download Putty. Okay, you can download the Putty here and install. Nowadays it's installable. Previously it used to be a standalone applications. Now, if you download this Putty, you can install and you can run it. I have already installed it. You can install it too. And here, if you are just download this Putty 64-bit installer MSI. This would be good enough for you. Okay. And what is the time? Time check 10:30. So who will, how many of you wants to continue this? I can continue next maybe 15 minutes. I just want to check. Can you please do a hands up, like how many of you want to continue? So
I can.
okay, so quickly let's access it first. From my Mac, I'll create SSH key and I'll add it. Also in a Linux environment, how you'll do it, I'll show you, then I'll possibly I'll go a little faster here. So in Linux, it is same. So you can put SSH keygen.
Are you sharing?
Oh, did I stop it? Sorry. Okay. I open it. So what I'm doing is I'm quickly going ahead. Just for, I'm going to add my SSH key first. Okay. SSH keys and add the SSH key and go to, if you're using Windows, it's a little different, but if you're using Linux or Mac, just open a terminal and put SSH keygen -t RSA. So this is the command. I'll share these commands with you all. Just enter it and just enter overwrite. I have it already. Let me overwrite it. Okay, just enter. So this will generate the SSH key for you for your own laptop. Okay. And that will be normally in your home directory. If you see here cd and you have a .ssh folder and do an ls, you'll find this idrs and idrsa.pub. These two files you'll be having. In a Windows environment, how to create it, I'll show you quickly. This is Windows environment, open Putty, right? And here you see Putty Gen. Open that application. When you install Putty, you will have both applications actually. So this is Windows. So you have this environment and generate. So, and you have to just move the mouse in between, and then it will be simple generating this, right? And then once it is generated, save the public key, save, you can give any name you want. So my SSH key, give a pub separate, okay? So that it becomes, it symbolizes that it is a public key. Okay, I have already it. I don't have permission. Would like to, okay. Okay, and you can save the private account. Same thing, my SSH key, and you don't need to give any. It will be saved in. You see here, all the private keys in Windows environment is saved in the .ppk file extension. Okay, save it. So once you have this, you can always, the public key .pub, you can always upload there like this. As I'll go back to my original. So here, enter the, you see here, enter public SSH key. So here, what I'll do is, because I can see it here itself, so I'll do a VI, or I'll simply do a cat id.rsa.pub, right? Sorry. So I'll simply copy this and paste it. Okay, and you see by default it recognizes my name here because my username in my laptop is PNAC. So it username is PNAC and save it. So this is now I added my laptop so that my laptop can easily access any VM I create, right? Now let's go and quickly create the VM. So we know everything now. It will be not much time, just simple to create the instance. What I'll do is let it be instance 1 and US North. Okay, put it A, E2, 2 gig, 2 vCPU, 4 gig RAM. No other thing, I'll just put for the time being and create.
A punch. So one question. So meanwhile, so is there option to create a instead of Linux virtual machine, can we create a Windows virtual machine?
Okay, Windows, you can, of course, let's see. But here you have to upgrade it to create Windows. Let's do, I call it Windows, okay? Let's see. There's nothing wrong not to try. So here, same thing, I'll go with North Virginia, same region, and put little more memory, Windows. Same thing, let it be 4 gigs should be fine, but it will take some time. So I'll put a higher memory. 2 vCPU with 8 gig. And here, okay, I wanted to quickly boot disk, right? Here, you change it. So to select Windows, so previously I didn't change it, right? Because I wanted to quickly do it. You see here, image was Linux, Debian, GNU, okay? But here you have to change it and then select Windows Server. And these are the Windows servers available. Like you see, version 224. So let's create the latest data center 19 data center version and persistent disks of 50 gig. If you select here, actually select, then you see here monthly estimate is 127, right? So let's see what happens. It is AHM training and is it creating? Let me refresh it. Why it is so slow, I don't know. Windows yesterday I tried, it was not allowing me to in the free version, it was asking me to upgrade. So that's one of the reason. Also, it may be, this is 14 hours ago. If you see, create the VM instance I tried to create, Windows instance are not included with free trial. You see the error? So possibly that's the reason it is not giving that error.
Okay.
Windows VM instances are not included with the free trial. So I believe you cannot create. Then we have to upgrade. Okay. So now let's see what are the VMs running already. So, and how to access for this, we want to achieve that today at least. We created a Linux instance. There are multiple ways you can connect. You see here is just click, open the browser window where you can directly see the console, and then you can also run another SSS client and so on and so forth. So here we got two IPs. One is the internal IP and another is the external IP. So let's take the external IP. Okay. And if you want to access it from, obviously I want to access it from my laptop. So here do SSH and username obviously is my name, P9 and IP address, and add it to yours, and I'm done. So you see here. So this is, I logged in to my remote instance. And it is, you see, name is instance 1, right? So here it is instance 1. Got it? So from Windows, how to do it? Let me go to Windows machine now. Same thing. If you want to access it, obviously I should have my key here. So that first I have to copy my key to Windows instance. Then I have to access from Windows using that key. Without key, you cannot access. So possibly in the interest of time, we are already 7 minutes and like already gone. So I have another meeting coming. So we have to stop it today, and how to access from Windows possibly we'll take in the next class or next session. And because obviously we covered some basics, we could not achieve what we wanted to achieve, but next class onwards will be go faster. We'll go faster. Okay. So any questions? I want to stop it here today. I'll access the next class. I'll give a detailed, in fact, view, a detailed training on how to access your VMs from Windows environment. We'll do completely on Windows. Okay. Today we focused on the console, cloud console, and next class we'll focus on how to access it from Windows. And then we'll install some applications also, like some web applications, like a .NET application maybe. We'll install it and we'll try to access it. That will be possibly our next session. Okay, so we'll stop it here today. And if you have any questions, please type it or speak so that we can discuss it.
To do a session with the Terraform IAC with the GCP.
Right. So yeah, we'll do that. In fact, this is what I wanted to do. This is what, first we'll try to create that instance using the console. Same thing, we'll try to do that using CLI. Okay. And then again, same thing, we'll try to use, do that using Terraform so that you understand the differences. Okay. And then we'll go more complex scenarios and complex applications. Okay.
Thank you, Panch.
Yeah, that will be my flow. I intend to do that so that people, if it is effective for everyone. I understand that some of you may not be console, you don't want it, you already know it, but some of, almost you saw that 70% they're new to cloud, right? So I want to go in that way so that I give a console access, how to create in console so that you know what are the services you're doing, how easy it is. Then we'll go and how to do that using the G Cloud CLI, and then how to do that within Terraform too. That will be, then I'll be more focused on Terraform slowly. Then what are the Terraform features and how to do it, okay? And what are the ways, different ways we can do Terraform, and I'll be, that I think that will take some time, okay?
Hi Panch, this is Sunil here. One quick question not related to the GCP. So whatever you showed on the Windows machine, so do we have a rights to install any application? Like looks like you installed Putty and all.
That's why I said use your personal, please. For this session, use your personal laptop.
For a VM, whatever you're installing, because the reason why I'm asking this
It's
question
not
is
a VM. It is my personal machine.
okay, person. Okay, yeah, fine.
This one you are talking, right?
Yeah, Windows machine.
This is my personal machine. I am accessing from my Mac.
Okay, yeah, fine. I thought it is a Athena Windows machine. I'm saying.
No. I'm not. See, this training is not at all related to any Athena or CVS. Please don't confuse. This is purely personal training. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. If we don't have any questions, and you can always shoot me in my our channel. Like that's why I have put that Teams also, so that we can discuss there any questions if you have.
Sure.
Okay, and also feedback is appreciated. Any feedback, positive, negative, how I can improve, how it will help you. Okay.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Punch.
Thank you.